The Mets, they won their 4th game in a row on Friday night, moved 3 games over 500. However, despite the good vibes, the Amazons almost blew the game thanks to a shaky bullpen performance. But we're going to talk about all that. We're going to do it with Mets content creator Tyler Ward, who joins me now. Wardy, what's going on?
How are you, Dexter?
I'm doing good. Hey, you know who else is doing good? The New York Mets. Their fans are feeling good. And 2 more games to go before the break. Hopefully the good vibes continue, but we'll get into all that. Wardy, let's start with the good. 5 home runs on Friday night against the Rockies, including 3 long balls and 8 pitches during the 2nd inning. That was a crazy stretch. Harrison Bader and Jose Iglesias went deep twice. So what are you liking about the way this Mets lineup is looking during this homestand?
Depth, depth, depth. Without question, what we have noticed with the Mets, not only this homestand, but just over the past month and a half, where their offensive success has just soared to being one of the top offensive teams in all Major League Baseball. A prime example of that was what we saw last night against the Colorado Rockies. When you look at this 1 through 9 with this Mets lineup, it is easily one of the best in all the National League. And we know that as long as these guys are all firing on full cylinders, good things are going to happen. So for a Mets team that didn't have any offensive production from guys like JD Martinez or Pete Alonso, both going over last night, they get that back and then some with huge at-bats from Harrison Bader, who in my opinion has been one of the most clutch hitters for the Mets this season, not named Brandon Nimmo, and Francisco Lindor, and Jose Iglesias, who continues to dominate, looking right around a 500 batter with runners in scoring position so far this season. And then, oh my God, he rips that not 1 but 2 home runs on the day. I mean, vibes at Citi Field are immaculate right now. This is exactly what we were praying and dying for we would see heading into this season, especially after that miserable May. No one really thought that we were going to see baseball this exciting to this degree now for a Mets team that has climbed all the way out of below 500 by 11 games, now sitting 3 games above 500 and in a wild card spot. Yeah, vibes are riding high in Queens, to say the least.
Yeah, amazing turnaround. Also, amazing little rendition of you there of OMG, the Jose Iglesias. So I heard you with the notes there. I like that.
There we go. We got to sprinkle it in every now and then.
Yeah. And I like it. Anytime we can get the OMG in these Mets discussions, it's always good. No problems with that at all whatsoever. Beside the hitting, we got to talk about the pitching. And Sean Manaea, he continued his recent stretch of good pitching. The Mets, they've won 5 out of his last 6 starts. So what has been working well for Manaea during the stretch?
Well, the interesting thing about Manaea, and I want to give a great shout out to a friend of mine, Isaac Rothman, who does fantastic with Mets pitching analysis. One thing that we've definitely noticed with Manaea this year is his ability to throw his sinker up in the zone, something that you don't commonly see with guys that are trying to induce ground balls the way that we see Manaea do. However, he's had success with it, but now he's also getting a good amount of swing and miss. That sweeper is working in his hand, lefty-lefty action. He had 9 strikeouts yesterday, 7 strong, allowing just 3 earned runs. Sean Manaea, what's worked a lot with his success is also went in hand with has been the case with Jose Quintana among other starters in this rotation after having up and down starts of the year, and that is Francisco Alvarez. Alvarez has undoubtedly been a game changer for guys like Manaea and Quintana. With Francisco Alvarez, Sean Manaea has an ERA this season right around 1.5. Without Mr. Francisco Alvarez, he has an inflated ERA, multiple runs higher than what you currently see there. So with Francisco Alvarez being one of the best young catchers in all Major League Baseball, having elite frame jobs, that certainly helps when you have a great game caller in himself. And then you pair that with the confidence Manaea has built. You know, he's always kind of been this 5-and-dive pitcher the past couple of years, fluctuating as a swingman in the bullpen or a true starter. The Mets have really established him over the past number of starts now as a guy that can give you 6 to 7 even quality innings. Now, is that necessarily sustainable in the case of Manaea? Maybe not so much on the length, but I do think what is sustainable is his ability to be a productive pitcher for the Mets all season long. And final note that I will share here is, as you and I were discussing off-air, Dexter, how are the Mets going to go about the trade deadline? They have a great question on their hands here with Sean Manaea, who, again, provides you that value as both a starter and a reliever if need be. So a good problem to have if you're David Stearns here in the Mets.
Yeah, it really is. And as you mentioned, he's been giving them incredibly good performances, good quality starts, and the Mets would like to see that going forward. But there's a lot of decisions to be made, whether he will be here, whether he will leave. We will see how that all plays out towards the trade deadline. Okay, so Tyler, we talked about the good. We also have to talk about the bad, which is the Mets bullpen. They almost blew a 5-run lead. Jake Diekman and newcomer Phil Maton combined to allow 3 runs, 2 homers in the 8th inning before Edwin Diaz came in and shut the door in the 9th. Now, look, I know the Mets have won 4 games in a row. but what's your concern level with this bullpen right now?
Oh, it's still concerning. Yeah, don't get it twisted. Just because this offense and overall the team have been rolling the past month and a half, that doesn't change the flaws that they've had, which has absolutely been amplified with this bullpen. And who's been right in the thick of it this entire time, unfortunately, has been none other than veteran southpaw Jay Diekman. Now, personally, I've spoken at great length about Diekman and how he unfortunately has provided very little for this Mets bullpen since being their main southpaw option, with Brooks Raley now down for the year with Tommy John surgery. And for Diekman, who sits with an over 5-year array at the time of us recording this, you have to wonder just how much more of a leash he's going to find himself getting for a David Stearns and a Carlos Mendoza ran Mets that have been very cutthroat with their bullpen decisions this year. We have seen guys in the past, whether it's Michael Tonkin, Johan Ramirez, just to name a few of guys who didn't have immediate great success, and because of that reason were parted with in the waiver wire or via trade. In the case of Jay Diekman here, it feels like the Mets are just waiting to find one decent lefty option, not named Diekman, whether that's Matt Gage that they just acquired in their bullpen from the Dodgers organization this past week, or someone else internally or externally. Either way, Diekman has unfortunately been more of a net negative than a positive, so it isn't all that shocking to see him give up the bomb the way he did, not getting the lone lefty out they need to get out in that matchup yesterday. And then Phil Maton coming in for the second time in as many days after making a strong Metropolitan debut, did give up that 2-run home run, but it's because of what Diekman had started at said inning. And in the case of Maton, just needs to make sure that he's not hating that sweeper that has been a problem for him this year, hasn't gotten as much bite on it as he's thrown a cutter now in his mix of his arsenal. So just making sure that that thing's fine-tuned and he should be fine. Maton, I'm not overly worried about the soft tosser, but Diekman, a guy that continues to prove why he really cannot be utilized in any leverage of a situation of a game, no matter if the Mets are tied or if they're even up 4, 5, 6 runs. You just don't have a confidence level with the veteran southpaw, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, the confidence level's not there, and the Mets are still looking to find a southpaw that they can trust there in the pen. We'll see how that all works out moving forward. Okay, here's the thing, Wardy. With Friday's win, going back to some good vibes here, just for the people, the Mets assured themselves that they will head into the All-Star break with a winning record. If they win on Saturday, they can equal their high water mark of 4 games over 500 this season. So the vibes, as you mentioned, they're immaculate right now. But is it important that the Mets don't play with their food here and take care of business in these final 2 games of this series against the Rockies? How important is that, Wardy, for them to not play with their food here?
I love that line, don't play with their food, because I've been preaching this for how long now? I mean, going all the way back to the 2022 season with the Mets. They had a favorable schedule there in that month of August or so, like the most favorable in Major League Baseball, and they finished that month just a game or so above 500. And we're all like, how could this be? Why aren't you taking advantage of the opportunities given to you? And the same applies now here with this Mets team. They swept the Washington Nationals and the in-division rivalry matchup. Great stuff there. Now you're taking on a depleted Colorado Rockies. Do not forget who you're playing and make sure that you do not play down to their level. This is a Mets team that's been pretty impressive so far this season, or the past month and a half, especially in handling whoever is thrown their way. So it's even that much more imperative for them to make sure that they continue this strong stretch here leading into the All-Star break. Just make sure you secure the series victory. If you sweep them, awesome. 6 straight wins heading into the All-Star break. No one's going to complain there. However, a series victory at bare minimum is what the Mets absolutely need to make sure they do here. And as I preached last time I was here, Dexter, they just got to play their game. And a guy like Carlos Mendoza, being as fired up as he was, being ejected from yesterday's ball game, is the exact kind of mentality and impression, a positive one, that will have on this clubhouse and this team to continue to roll.
All right, we will see if they take care of business this weekend. Don't play with their food. As you said, a sweep for the Mets fans would be nice, but you want to win the series. Take 2 out of 3 against the Rockies before the All-Star break. That is Tyler Ward. Check out his great content he creates around the Mets on YouTube. Wardy, always a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad you were well. The vibes are immaculate. And I hope that continues for you and the rest of Mets Nation out there.
I hope that continues too, Dexter. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, and cannot wait to chop it up with you again real soon.
We will do it again real soon. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.